when you actually look at now the biometrics that they have on us, especially now with voice, and I don't know whether it's the same in England, but over here, whenever you ring up any multinational company, they will basically say to you, you know, your voice will be recorded for training purposes, you know, and that's not the case. I mean, it's not for training purposes. It is to basically get a better picture of people's voice biometrics and get it to the point where they are 100% accurate. So, and that's obviously rolled into, you know, fighting the war on terrorism and the like. But yeah, to answer your question, that's where it's all going. I mean, you know, you have the brain map, if you like. You can consider that another biometric. You obviously have, you know, face recognition, you have iris recognition, fingerprints, the geometry of the fingerprint. Yeah, and gait as well, on how you actually walk. And but you see, where it will move as well, it'll move into multimodal biometrics. So what they'll say to you is, look, you know, your finger biometric could actually be cloned. So what we need to do is ensure that while you're giving your finger biometric, we are actually taking your iris scan as well, and that way we know in real time that this person is you. So, you know, the point behind this is that every biometric solution is designed to fail. So, you know, for example,
a commercial proposition as much as anything else. Do you think?
Absolutely, and I mean, look, people can go, you know, with ATMs right now. They're having this big thing in Australia that, you know, you have these, and you always need to have your, you know, your evil entity, which happen to be these Eastern Bloc Russians, I think they are, and they've come into Australia and they are skimming everyone's credit cards, and you know, how do we even know this is true at the end of the day? But then what was proposed soon after that particular news story on a current affairs show is, wouldn't it be safer if we introduced biometric ATMs? So you wouldn't have to worry about your, you know, your particular ATM card with the barbaric ATM, with a barbaric magnetic strip, you know, for example, and a code.
Then all you'll have to worry about then, though, is that they'll gouge your eye out and chop your finger off and go and rob your ATM anyway.
I mean, yeah, well, if I was a robber, I would just take the guy's finger and just put it on the ATM and just go, thanks very much.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
As you said, tomorrow at 6 o'clock.
It's a sort of arms race, but the tempo it works at is commercial interest, isn't it, basically? So, as you've got PlayStation 10s probably being sat on the shelves waiting for the market to have squeezed every last drop of PlayStation 9 out of it, you know? There's more interest going on here than just these sort of dark figures in the back of international banking. There's just plain greed going on all the way down the line as well, isn't it? There's commercial interest with the release. Yeah, there's
commercial interest, and it's all rolled. It's as though they're not only eroding liberties, they're also cashing you in all the way to the bank as well. You know, so it's a double win for them basically. So, you know, you're not only, like, I mean, when you look at the Xbox Natal that's coming up, you're not only obviously buying a brand new system, but you also have the great fun to actually be putting a system in your house that will actually biometrically mark you. So, you know, but to the average family out there, if you said, look, are you quite comfortable with having a motion sensor in your house or something that can obviously, you know, scan your iris or scan your handprint? I don't know what the average person would say. He would probably just say you're paranoid. I don't see what the problem is. The question then becomes, pardon?
It's all a matter of perception management at the end of the day. They've got to sell it into the public's consciousness. So it's they do it by what Eichsford, he calls it the totalitarian tiptoe. You always get a big reaction if you take a big bite, but if you nibble away quietly and come at them, tickle them a bit while you're doing it, they'll, you know, you'll eat the whole beast eventually, you know. They won't even try and get it.
Exactly. One little bite at a time.
Yeah. With the, you mentioned the cartoons earlier on and whatnot. have you noticed the amount of reference there is to this sort of stuff just generally in the mainstream media with, like you mentioned earlier on one of the banks, we have still a version of that on commercial adverts in this country on mainstream TV, where you've got a guy going down like a water slide from a cupboard in his office all the way to his back garden sort of thing, you know what I mean? And the whole point is that you no longer have to actually pass the magnetic card through the machine. You simply have to walk near the machine and it'll swipe it.
Yeah.
But that same technology applies to the RFID chips and all the other things, doesn't it? It basically, you no longer have to make a conscious action to consent to creating a transaction. You simply have to walk past the machine and it'll create the transaction. Assume your consent, let's say.
You know how you mentioned just before, it is a commercial decision. It is a commercial decision because for them they realise that if we can take the time element that one can actually sit down, reflect, can I actually purchase this product? If we can bypass that little bit of time where the person can actually critically think and act more on emotion, it's been proven. I mean, you've got different studies out there that have showcased that people with PayPass or touch and go systems will actually spend from 25% up to 33% more, and especially going through McDonald's, which is one very good study. But what it is also absolutely, and what it is more conditioning us though is to start using your hand, if you like, as a payment system. So the card then becomes more of an extension of your hand. You have less, interaction with the machine. It's just a case of you tap it, you go. And then you had an actual study that was done by Barclays Cards that said, and it was focused on the UK as well. It was probably about 6 weeks ago. And it went on to say that the average customer is absolutely irate at standing in lines and cash is just taking too long, people having to count their coins and the like, and will people just keep up with the times and start moving towards the touch and go system? So you're
like the seller's soul just did not have to stand in a queue.
Yeah, I mean, look, standing in a queue, that's just terrible,
God knows, in the 21st century, we still have to stand in a queue rather than think.
Yeah, and that's the point. It's that they are splintering society to the point now where in the future, I mean, the person who's paying with cash or is paying with his ATM card and actually putting in a PIN, he will start getting dagger looks, saying, look, you're holding up this line, like I've got a life to run, hurry up and adopt the new technology. And for the next generation, as mentioned, I mean, if I was an 18-year-old kid and got given a tap and go card, I wouldn't have a clue. I would just embrace it because
you can just imagine the chaos.
Just move forward.
You can't. I mean, you'll no longer your parents won't even be able to say, "For God's sake, didn't you think what you were doing before you bought the Ferrari?" And they'll just go, "No, I just went past the shop and next minute I had it." Yeah. All I had to do was tap the glass and that was it. It was ours. Now we're going to pay for it.
Bonkers.
I'm looking at the time, Greg. It's nearly 11:15 here. Are you still all right to go on?
Yeah, I can probably do another 10, I'd say.
Cool.
I'm over, but it's all good. We can wrap it up if you like.
As you like, mate. I know we're pressing on your time. God knows it's still very early in the morning by my standards where you are, mate.
Yeah.
It's too early to drink right now, but anyway.
So overall, Greg, where would you say that we're at the moment with the whole issue? What are the next steps that we, the people, will not be chipped, are planning?
We are releasing a new video soon, which I guess we have done, as an organisation, we have done the bedrock of information out there. We've also worked quite closely with a lady in USA who's called Catherine Albrecht from Anti-Chip. So I guess not the sad part is, but when you look at this agenda that's coming down the line, there's realistically only, ourselves and another organisation that has actually put the time and the effort. So the one good thing that we have come from, that we've got from all this is we were releasing short films on a quite common basis. We were releasing short cartoons. We actually took the mickey out of Scott Silverman. I recommend people to go onto the website, actually. An easy way to get to the website as well is just go to wakeup.tv, which is a lot easier to type in than wethepeoplenotbechip.com. So just wakeup.tv. And
I would highly recommend that. It's a very informative website for all our listeners.
And the good thing is, what we did prove is, with continual, I guess our focus was very much on the human inventorying issue, right? So what we did is we zeroed in, we kept piecing apart what the Verichip Corporation was doing. We focused on their agenda. We focused on their, the closet with IBM and the war criminal aspect side to it. We focused on where this company is going, and it was getting to a point where we could actually affect their stock price. So the one thing that I can say, with, truth movements, or if anyone is, is very passionate about a particular cause, whether it's, GE food or, whatever rocks your boat, I guess, is if you stay honed, you can actually make a difference, and you can actually impact the other side, because now for the first time since, you can't even mention the date, where, you can actually get your articles now crawled by Google. You can actually get straight into the top news feeds. You can actually go viral. And by doing that, Verichip, for example, announced that they will not be pursuing the human implants I think it was in July 20th of this year, due to extreme
public
the extreme. Yeah, sorry.
The public opinion against it. Is that what stopped them?
Yeah, exactly. From the public opinion against it, and look, I can say from that, it was just a case of two organisations, ourselves being one of them, just working relentlessly since 2003 it was, to the point now where if you go Google Verichip, we own them. Like on the internet, we basically own that company, from the cancer that can actually be caused, to how the company has lied to its stockholders, to flip-flopping on different issues. So I can say, it is rewarding, but look, I can also say to you, Verichip is not going away. They've just folded their hand, and they've just stated we're not pursuing human implants. But we know very well that in 2 years' time, they'll come back with a glucose censoring microchip. But, by then we'll have a better body of work to present. I mean, we're releasing a new film in the next month or two, and that will have a far more a larger reaching audience, because what it will actually show is how Hollywood has embraced the agenda as well, and how it permeates through Hollywood as well. So
it's all about shining a light on them. Then they don't like being in the light, do they?
Absolutely. And look, for the first time, I mean, how the internet currently stands, the internet is not obviously filtered at this point. So people need to start taking action right now, while the internet as it stands remains unfiltered. Obviously, Google will still remove certain keywords or search trends and the like, and we've seen them do that. But currently there is a bit of power to the people, and I think we should take full advantage of it.
Absolutely, not least in which preparing for when the internet does go off. For God's sake, we say this all the time, but if this is our only means of communication, and we haven't had the presence of mind to put other things in place for if this fails on us, then we're going to be in trouble, because we've made a hell of a lot of progress with the internet and whatnot, I think, and I'm very new to all this. But
I think we still need to work towards getting off it in a big way.
Yeah, well, there is the getting off it side of it. I think it plays a valuable role. We don't want to be rolling the drawbridge up behind us in any case, because there's people coming along all the time, and they still need to be able to access the information. So,
Absolutely.